one of those tough nights on the road in the Big East. We got outplayed. You know, they just we knew coming in how well they're playing. They've got a great. I think I said this to you guys before. They got a great plan, a great defensive concepts. Played extremely well. They share the ball offensively. They just played better than us on both ends of the floor. I think our our turnovers, our poor shooting was just a credit to their defense and their physicality. And, I give them all the credit.
All right, we'll go for questions. If anybody has any, please just raise your hand or write in the chat. Terry, start us off.
Jay, you never seem to look comfortable. They were really in your kitchen. Is that just what they do?
Exactly. And they just did a great job of taking us out of our offensive sets, and we have a plan to respond to that. We didn't execute it, but I think it's because of their pressure. It's not just like our guys didn't want to do it. It's their pressure, their physicality took us out of our decision making.
And you did a good job on Champagny, but other guys picked it up, Alexander and things like that. You couldn't get into a rhythm on the defensive end either.
Yeah, and in the first half, when they made separation, we were doing actually a decent job. I thought Posh Alexander was outstanding. He had some big threes early. We were doing a good job otherwise, but then we were turning the ball over, and they were getting easy baskets on the turnovers, as opposed to having to go against our set defense. Same thing in the second half. They got, we weren't horrible in half-court defense, but in transition, they were outstanding, and a lot of it came from our turnovers or poor shots that were forced by their defense.
Thanks, Jay.
Got it.
Austin, go ahead.
Hey, Jay. Did you expect their press to be as good as it was tonight? They forced 2 10-second violations. Like, that's kind of rare.
Yeah. I think their press was what we expected. I think our response was what I didn't expect. Their press is outstanding. They get great physicality and great speed, and a great plan. They doubled Colin, they face guarded Colin, and they made other guys handle the ball. We had a plan for that. We just didn't execute it well. Again, but I got to give them credit for that. We didn't execute it well because they were really physical with us, and they were really aggressive, and so we couldn't execute what we wanted to do against them, taking Colin away with double teams and face guards.
Yeah, and speaking of Colin, what did you think of his performance? I imagine this is something that he wants to burn the tape here.
Yeah, you're going to have he's had so many games. And again, when you're a leading scorer like that, teams are going to come after you, and they did a great job of it tonight. I think he battled. I just think they did a great job of doubling him, face guarding him, denying him when he was off the ball. And he had a tough night, but I know he'll come back. He's a tough kid.
All right. Thanks, Jay. Have a good night.
You got it. You too.
Eric, go ahead.
Good evening, Coach. To what do you attribute your inability to attack the press to score? It seemed in the first half you got some jumpers against their pressure, and in the second half, or in neither half, did you actually really get to the rim and attack to try to get some layups or get fouled at the line? To the line.
Yeah, like I said, Eric, I think it was the plan, and the guys knew it, but it's different when you go against that pressure and that physicality, and that athleticism. Even a couple times in the second half, we did take it to the rim. They punched it, again, and that's why I got to give them the credit. They really took us out of what we wanted to do. I thought in the first half we did get good looks. We had good looks at threes. We just missed them, and then we got a little tentative taking those looks. And we got out of our rhythm. We kind of drove it when it wasn't there, and stopped looking for open shots when they were there. Again, you got to give them the credit for that. That's what they're trying to do, is to disrupt you and get out of your decision making, and that's what they did a great job of tonight.
Thanks, Coach.
You got it.
Joe, go ahead.
Jay, for as poorly as you played in the first half, you were still down only 3. What was the plan in the second half? What kind of adjustments, and how important was that first 6 minutes? You got outscored 15-4 and kind of put yourself in a bigger hole.
Yeah. We did have a plan to get the ball inside a little bit more, to get Colin freed up a little bit more, but we weren't able to execute it. Like I said, it wasn't that our guys forgot it or didn't know it. They weren't able to execute it. They were so physical and pumping us off our cuts and staying with us on our drives, and that we weren't able to execute what we wanted to do.
Thanks, Jay.
Like I said, Joe, in the first half, we did get some good shots. We wanted to keep taking those shots, stop taking those shots.
Thanks.
Does anybody else have a question for Coach? If so, just raise your hand or write in the chat. All right, Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, Jeremiah. What was so difficult about handling their press tonight?
I mean, they're a nasty team. They get after it from the start. They're just a tough team, and they just played really hard and they played really tough. And we just need to be more solid and just be more together. But they're a really good team. I don't think their record does them justice. I think they're a really good team, and they're just really solid, tough, and they play really hard.
And on the offensive end for you guys, what was kind of the struggle going on there? Obviously from the press, but once you guys got in the half court, some of those shots still weren't falling. What was going on there?
Yeah, we just got to be solid on offense, and we're just stay confident in the shots. Sometimes some shots go in, some shots don't. You just got to have to keep a great attitude and just keep playing for the full game, full 40 minutes.
All right. Thanks, Jeremiah.
Glenn, go ahead.
Hey, Jeremiah, you alluded to this a little bit earlier. What was the aspect of their defense that was most disruptive? Was it speed or physicality? What did you think was happening?
I mean, I would say both. They're a really, really quick team. They're really physical. They're really tough. They like getting after it, and we just had to be solid and just play together. So we know what we can work on and just keep moving on for the rest of the season with that.
Thank you, Jeremiah.
Terry, go ahead.
Jeremiah, were you a little surprised how physical they were? Because they seemed to be able to – they were pushing you guys off spots.
I mean, we knew going into the game it was going to be a tough physical game, and they just played harder than us, and we just have to give them credit for playing that full 40 minutes, just playing harder and tougher than us.
And how do you bounce back from this?
Just keeping a great attitude, knowing we can get better and become a better team next day, and just keep going one day at a time.
Thanks, Jeremiah.
Joe, go ahead.
Jeremiah, for as poorly as you guys played in the first half, you still only trailed by 3. What kind of adjustments did you make at halftime, and why couldn't you execute them?
I mean, we just had to be solid, just keep playing together. I mean, some shots don't go in, but we just have to keep a great attitude and just know that it all starts on the defensive end. And they were a really tough team defensively, getting us kind of sped up, and we just had to be solid. But we just had to keep sticking together and just play for a full 40 minutes no matter what the result is.
All right, thank you.
Austin, go ahead.
Jeremiah, I know obviously you'd want the win, but I mean, you had 17 rebounds tonight, another double-double. I mean, were they just falling to you? I mean, like, they had a pretty decent size advantage on you guys. How are you able to get a ton of those boards?
I mean, it's just a feel. I mean, we have great guys going in to try to get the old board, so they suck some of the defense in, and then just sometimes the ball comes right where you're standing, and it just so happened that's what happened tonight.
All right, thank you.
Does anybody else have a question for Jeremiah? If so, just raise your hand or write in the chat. David Melandra, go ahead. David, you can.
Hey, Jeremiah, how do you respond after losing tonight after winning so many games in a row?
We just have to keep a great attitude, and just knowing that going to the next day, whatever we have in store, practice or whatever film, just knowing we can get better and just paying attention to all the details and just keeping a great attitude and keeping our heads up.
All right, that looks like all. Thank you, Jeremiah.
Thank you.
So I'm going to ask the same question I asked Jeremiah. How do you guys will respond from a loss like this after you guys have won 9 in a row?
Well, we bounced back from this by keeping a great attitude, coming back the next day ready to work, always keeping a mindset of being the best team that we can be by the end of the year, and just keep tapping at the rock every single day.
Joe, go ahead.
Caleb, why was their press so effective and disrupt your offense as much as it did?
Their press was pretty effective because we kind of rushed a little bit in the first half. They played really fast, really quick, and we just learned a lesson from this game. Just be solid. Me coming to me passes, being more solid with our passes, passing to each other, and just trusting in one another. So. They definitely play fast, so we just have to continue to just work at it every single day.
And what troubled you guys more, their speed or their physicality?
I think it was more of their speed.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have a question for Caleb? If so, just unmute yourself. Joe, go ahead.
Sorry, just one more for me. What's it like when the shots aren't falling? What's your mindset? Just trying to shake the slump, or maybe trying too hard, or trying to set somebody else up? What's all those dynamics that go into it?
It's not really much dynamics, to be honest. It's all about just making the right plays, just being solid, trusting the work that we put in as a team, trusting in one another to make that extra pass, to make that shot, to get that stop. So I just want to say it's not really that much dynamics to it, but just like making the right play for one another, sticking as a team, staying as a team.